Hi, everybody. My name's Yar, and welcome to the Meant for More Mindset podcast. I am here with the lovely Dion.
Hi, guys.
And today we're going to be talking about the evolution of self. And how that shows up in our lives. So I'm going to talk about my journey. So my journey was always one where I always thought that I was going to, be in a relationship at a certain age, be married by a certain age, have children by a certain age, and those things haven't happened. And the reason being was what I realized when I turned about 30 was that I was living my life for everybody else. So I really didn't have an idea of who I was. And I knew I wasn't happy, but the hardest thing at that time was figuring out what would have made me happy, because I just didn't know, because I'd always been living on this trajectory that had been set out by me, by other people. And what I came to slowly realize was I didn't know who I was. And because I didn't know who I was, I found it very hard to figure it out. And what I knew that I enjoyed doing was helping people, coaching and all of that, but I didn't. And that kind of helped me figure out who I was, because as I was helping others, it kind of unlocked things inside of me. Like as I was learning different coaching techniques, I would then, obviously, I am my first student, so I was practicing on myself, and whether consciously or unconsciously, I was practicing on myself. And because I was practicing on myself, I just slowly got better, to the point where I was able to really kind of pinpoint things that I wanted. And I'd say even up until last year, where there was a big shift at the end of last year. I remember when we went to the, so there was an event that I spoke at. This event. Anyway, so the event itself was, it was an event that so basically I wanted to grow my coaching career. And so I paid to go and speak at this event. Shouldn't have done that. First mistake. But anyway, I paid to go, and when I paid, I spoke. But what happened really the night before was really interesting. So the night before, I lost my voice, and so I was able to speak. But when I spoke, I was nervous anyway, because whenever I get on stage, even though I love doing this, I love speaking, I'm not going to lie, but when I have to speak in front of huge crowds, I get a little bit nervous. Once I'm settled into it, I'm fine. But initially it's a lot. So I spoke at this event, and then afterwards I got very, very, very sick. And then and then I was doing some voluntary work, and that went south. This was all to do with like trying to build my coaching business. That went south. And then something else happened as well. I can't even remember what it was now, but that didn't work out either. And what I realized at the time was that I was being inauthentic, because I somehow found my way back to a place of wanting things to look a certain way. And that's when I realized that, it was almost like microwave living. It's almost like Instagram. So I saw what I was seeing on Instagram. I was like, oh, these coaches seem to be doing well on Instagram. So if I just work really, really hard, I can do it too. What I've since come to realize is that a lot of what you see on Instagram is not real.
Yeah.
And also the people that are trying to get you to tell you can grow your business on Instagram, for example, their business is not what you do as your business. Their business is Instagram. So of course they're going to be successful on Instagram, because that's their business. That is not my business. But what I've really realized with the evolution of self is that it's really important to kind of work out what your values are, and adhere to them, and what your boundaries are as well, and adhere to them as well. And I wouldn't say be inflexible, but really, 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 really be I think for a long time in my life, I wanted to be liked. So I did a lot of this whole idea of, okay, I'll just go along with it, or I'll see what so and so thinks. Or I didn't really want to walk the boat. So even if I didn't disagree, I didn't really say how I felt, which I realize now is really, really important in all types of situations, because it really, what that leads back to is how I feel about myself. And how I feel about myself is, your opinion is just as valuable as my opinion. And I think when we do this whole thing of putting somebody else's opinion above our own, we kind of minimize ourselves. We don't we do minimize ourselves, and we make ourselves small to be able to fit. And there's no box that you need to fit into, because there's limitless space for everybody. And so it's learning to just kind of allow yourself, and I always say this, but it really, really, really is true, learning yourself to be, and not being being proud of it, really. Not diminishing who you are just so that other people can, just so that you think you're making other people feel good, because 9 times out of 10 other people aren't thinking about you. And so have you ever had a situation where you've kind of not been your full self, and now coming more into that?
Oh, so many times, yeah. So many times. I think even in my last job, I worked in finance, which was a finance team within a corporate company, and that company had the idea of service and always doing things for others, which is great. But sometimes that was like the message that was drilled into everyone. So you felt like you had to go above and beyond a lot of the time. And sometimes my body just would not want to do it. But because I didn't want to feel like I wasn't part of the team, or I wasn't doing something, I just push myself and push myself and push myself. And towards the end of working in that company, I pushed myself so much that my body just shut down. So it was kind of like, yeah, Dion, you shouldn't have done that. And you knew you shouldn't have done it from the beginning, but you kept on going with it. And it showed, and it wasn't the first time. It showed up in many other times. In relationships, I've done that. In friendships, I've done that. And the more I realized, oh, actually, this is not my place. This is not where I need to be. This is not my tribe. I've kind of been able to accept that, okay, this is the way you believe, this is where I believe, and it's okay that you believe that way, and it's okay I believe this way. Maybe it's just not a match, and it's okay that it's not a match. So we can go our separate ways, still respect each other's differences, but just know it's not. I can't give to you what I think you need, and you can't give to me what I need. So that's okay. So I think for me, health being impacted in such a huge way kind of propelled me to going back to figuring myself out again. Because then I was like, why am I not on the right track? Why am I stuck in this place? Because if your body's not moving, then you're stuck. You're really stuck. So it's your body's way of finally telling you, get back on track. And I think when I started to explore, okay, what do I actually do? And trust me, it was very foreign in the beginning, because it was like, as you said, your path has already been laid out for you by society. You need to be married at this age. You need to have a job at this age. Like everything is like, you just need to meet these landmarks and milestones. But sometimes those milestones are in different order. Like it reminds me of Takeshi's Castle, where you like step on these rocks, and some of them are floaty, some of them are strong. And sometimes you're going to step on those floaty ones and just sink. So it's just a way of getting you back on track, trying to figure out, okay, what is this? Why isn't this the right way? And sometimes it's needed for you to go off course so that you can get back onto course, because you also learn when you're off course. You learn different things. So I'd say have compassion for yourself in that sense. Like, you're still evolving into the person you're becoming. And for you to figure out who you're becoming, you need to try new things. And sometimes it's out of the scope, but sometimes being out of the scope gives you more information about the actual scope that you need to be in. So have compassion for yourself and just be kind to yourself about it, because it's hard. we didn't grow up with a manual. We didn't grow up thinking, oh, this is my life. It has this plan, so I just need to go by it and it should be fine. We're still beings just exploring and understanding why we've been put on this earth, what our purpose is here. So the more you learn about yourself, the more you learn why. And I think when you're so much younger, you have this fearlessness about you, which the world hasn't really impacted yet. So I think if you are trying to evolve and find yourself, try and think back to when you were younger and what kind of gave you joy, what kind of gave you happiness, and maybe re-explore those options. Like, for me, I know something I really enjoyed doing when I was younger was like just dancing. Like, when I went to parties, that was my thing. I would be the one that was on the dance floor.
That's interesting, because I don't see you dance that much anymore.
Not anymore, because life got in the way. Life got in the way. But now I've kind of worked out, okay, I do like dancing. So now, like, before I leave the house, a lot of the time I put music on and psych myself out with a bit of music and have it in that way. Still not confident enough to do it outside yet. But I'm building to that. I'm building to getting to a place where I'm comfortable doing that again. But it's just that, even that, giving myself that in the morning gives me so much more like energy in the morning, so much more joy in the morning. So when I do go to work and life is hitting me left, right, and center, I don't feel so depleted so early on. Whereas before, like in my last job, I felt depleted as soon as I put the laptop on, even if I was working from home, because there was so much going on that I was just like, this is not me, but I'm here, so I just have to do what I have to do. But it's finding that those things that energize you, so that when life does hit, it doesn't deplete you completely.
Yeah. And I think as well, like, also understanding that you change at different seasons of your life, and as you grow, you change at different seasons. And what I also know is that the more you find and you discover who you are, the more boundaries you become.
Yeah.
Because you're no longer expecting things to go a certain way, hoping things to go a certain way. You're very clear about how you want things to go. And I think one of the things that really, 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 really has helped me, and I know, and this isn't me trying to put my faith onto anybody else, but really my relationship with God, like, just having a relationship where I don't feel like I need to know everything, or I need to be able to do everything, or I need to, have these certain things in place by a certain point in my life, and just kind of really, as you will, go with the flow, or some would say, listening to God's will, has really, really, really helped me shift in that way, because it's helped me to understand that, it's about, so before I felt like I needed to be in control. Now I just feel like I need to be accountable for the things that I'm accountable for, the things that I do. And that means not being accountable to everything, but okay, in this situation, how do I need to show up? Like, what is it that is required of me, or what do I require of myself? And then doing those things, and then being very clear about other things that I don't feel that I need to do, and also communicating to others what I expect from them, as opposed to just expecting things from other people. And that shift as well, you find then that people become more respectful in the way that they treat you, in the way that they are with you, because you're not just kind of like, I'm here for everybody. You're actually like, no, I'm here for what I'm here for.
Yeah.
And primarily me, that's my relationship with God. That's me, and me first, and then everybody else after that, because I know that once those things are done well, everything else will be done well also.
Yeah.
But it's really being mindful of ensuring that those things are done well first. Because if they're not, then I'm no good to anybody else. And I think before, what I was looking at was trying to do those, like doing the opposite of that. And like you said before, it's like when you do that, no, people just aren't, they're not grateful,
Yeah.
you know, and it's not that they're not grateful. It's just more like they don't see the benefit of it. They just see, they're grateful in that moment. Maybe they'll say thank you, but you're looking for something, you may be looking for something that's like more sustained than that. And they're just like, well, I've said thank you. Like, what else do you want? And to be fair to them, they're actually right. Yeah. Whereas when you're in a space of where you can respect yourself and care about yourself enough to be able to say, okay, this is what I'm giving to myself first. So irrespective of what you give to me, it doesn't matter because I'm already giving those things to myself. So I'm not going to look for those things outside of myself.
Yeah.
And so the way I show up is more fulfilled, more whole, more loving, more caring, more compassion, more joyful, more peaceful.
Yeah.
The biggest one, for me. Because that's how I step into my life first, as opposed to looking around and say, oh, what can I do for everybody? It's like, what can I do for me first? How can I sustain my relationship with myself and also with God first, and then everybody else gets a look in.
I totally agree. And I think sometimes because the world has taught us that we have to do for others, we kind of work in that rather than, because it's easier. It's just easier to...
Is it though? It's tiring, man.
No, I think it is easier because there's validation going to come from it somehow. Even if it's not from the person who's seen it, the fact or the person receiving it, sometimes we feel like, oh, someone's seen it, so I feel good about that, so it's fine. Do you know what I mean? But working on yourself and evolving into yourself, sometimes you're seeing parts of yourself that you don't like.
Oh, I see what you mean now. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's harder for you to focus on those bits and work on them than it is to just do it the way you've been doing it and helping others, because you know eventually I'm going to have to stop, but at least for now it's a short time fix.
No, that's absolutely right. And I think what I also believe is that it is easier to work on yourself, to work on others, give to others than it is to work on yourself, because you know what the outcome of that is.
Yeah.
Whereas the outcome of working on me, I don't know, it's unknown.
Yeah.
Who am I now if I don't follow this path that that I've been told I should be on? What does that look like?
Yeah.
You know, and then there's also a part of you, especially in the beginning, how does that look to other people? You know, as opposed to actually, how am I being true to me, and how's that showing up, and you know, and how am I feeling fulfilled in that?
Yeah.
And so that really, I think that's the number one thing, really, is just kind of the evolution of self, I would say, is about how are you fulfilling your purpose of self, really, in your own life. And that may look different at any particular point in your life, and holding true to that, really, and being okay with it.
Yeah. And it's a journey.
It is.
It is
definitely a journey.
Because you don't know all of yourself. And as you were saying, I also have a relationship with God myself. So for me, that gives me a little bit of ease, because I know that I don't know all of me, but He's the one who created me. So He knows all of me. So I might get it wrong, but because I have a relationship with Him, it's going to inform me if I am doing it wrong, if that makes sense. So if I do get it wrong, He'll put me back on track. But for now, I'm trying my best, and He is helping me in that space. And the fact that I don't know is okay. Yeah. And He will inform me when I need to know. Yeah. So that gives me a little bit more grace and a little bit more kindness to myself and compassion to myself, because then I'm like, okay, I didn't do that so great, but we're back on track, and He's going to continue to guide me, and He's going to continue to help me. But sometimes I think when you don't have that that like anchor, I would call it. I think sometimes it's a bit hard. It is hard, but you'll get there.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. And whether you believe in God or you believe in or something else, it is about having an anchor. And I think that's what the evolution of self is that there is, and I think that's what your boundaries and your values are, is the anchor of self. Those are your anchors in those particular situations, is that you understand that these are my values. So yes, for me and for yourself, it is our relationship. One of the things we value, our relationship with God, but whatever somebody else's values are, or whatever their boundaries are, that's what they can stay anchored in. And by staying anchored in that, that's when whatever comes next, they're open to it and they allow it to happen, because they have those things that they have already anchored within them.
Yeah, and it keeps them grounded. So it's that you're not going to just float away or just get carried away with the turbulence, but you're in a safe and sound ground, because you know what your values are and you know where you stand. So it's very easy for you to get swayed away when you don't know those things, when you don't know your value. So it makes it harder for you to steer away.
Yeah, so true. And I think that's it, guys. So thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Really appreciate it, and I appreciate you. So if you haven't already, please like this video, please comment and let me know your thoughts, and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take good care. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. For more about me, what I do, check out my website, nextlevelcoachinggroup.com, where you can also download my free Release Your Mindset Blocks guide. You can also follow me on Instagram at Next Level Coaching Group, or on Facebook at Next Level Lounge. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a rating and review. Thanks. See you on the next one.